So let's stop here and see the difference between static and dynamic polymorphism. Number one is function overloading. So function overloading means multiple functions with the same name but different parameters, types or count. So the compiler decides which function to call based on arguments. So this is also called compile time polymorphism. Now let's go through this code stepwise. So in the main function, when we write the three print statements, at each statement the compiler analyzes the argument type. For example, first the compiler checks that 5 is an integer, so it calls the relevant print function with integer as an argument, and so it is important to recall that compiler decides which function to call before the program runs or executes. So this is called static binding, early binding or compile time polymorphism. Next is operator overloading. That means giving special meaning to the operators for user defined types. So the concept is that you define a user defined data type, then for example the constructor initializes objects automatically. So let's see why this is static, because the compiler again decides at the compile time which print to call, which operator to call. So this is not runtime. So if we want a one interface, many behavior and scenes to be made at runtime instead of compile time, then we move to dynamic polymorphism concept. So in this code we have a base class B and a drive class D. So in the main function we create a base class pointer ptr and we create an object to drive class named dv1. Then we assign the address of dv1 to ptr. So now the base class pointer points to the derived object. Now when we call ptr of f, what do you expect? But when you run this program, the output is base class function called. So the pointer points to a derived object, yet the base version of the function is invoked. At the compile time, the compiler sees that ptr is the pointer of type B asterisk, so it assumes that you want to call the version of function f that belongs to the class B. So this is static binding or early binding. That is, the function call is linked to the base version at the compile time, because the compiler only looks at the pointer type, not on the type of object. In other words, the invoked function depends entirely on the type of the handler, that is the pointer or a reference, not on the type of the object it points to.